Most travelers on the working holiday visa fail to get jobs in Australia. And it's not because you are a bad worker, it's because you do not understand how employers think. And once you know this, finding a job becomes 10 times easier. I'm Arnie and I've been traveling Australia for more than 4 years, and I've worked in agriculture, hospitality, construction and mining. And in this video, I'll show you the 4 factors that employers use to decide if they give you a job or not. And then I'll also show you some real tips from Australian employers. To get a job, you need to do 4 things. The first thing that you need to do is to maximize your value as a dream worker. And what does it mean? This means that you have to try to be as close as possible to the perfect worker in the mind of an employer. This means having all the required qualifications, having a lot of experience in the job or field that you're applying to work in. You need to be available immediately, because if you have all the experience and you have all the tickets, but you are only available in 5 years, that's not useful for them. So you need to be available whenever they need it. And then the last thing is that you need to be within their budget, because it doesn't really matter if you have all the legal requirements, you have all the experience in the world, you are there in the perfect location and time, but you wanna earn 10 times what they have available to pay. So salary needs to match as well. If you try to maximize these 4 things, you are literally increasing your chances, and you have to help them to perceive you as a perfect person to achieve that. Then the second thing is to increase the likelihood of success and reduce risk, because the first thing is what you say. You might say that you have all the certifications and you might say that you have all the experience, but how can they know? So this is what increasing the likelihood of success and reducing the risk means. There's a few things that you can do or they can do to double check that what you're saying about your experience and certifications, it's true or not. Because what they want is that what you say you can do and what you will actually do, it's the same. If that matches, it means that you are reliable and they hit the goal. So a way for them to check that you will be able to do the job that you say that you can do is to look at proof of what you've done before, of proof of competence. So that is having job references of jobs that are really similar to the one that you are applying for. That means testimonials of clients or things like this. So if you offer them a way to contact previous employers of jobs where you have done exactly that thing, it is very likely that they will believe you. The problem is when you do not have proof and you've never done anything before and you're trying to do it for the first time, that's where it becomes more difficult. But we have to try to imagine mechanisms and ways to try to come up with proof, because it's true that you might not be able to show that you've done exactly that job before, but maybe you can prove that you are a good worker, or you can prove that you work hard. So that also some kind of proof. It's not the best absolute type of proof. The best type of proof is having done the same job to the one that you are applying now, and you've done it excellently, and the previous employer is super happy about that. That's the best. But if you cannot do that, because sometimes you have to do it for the first time, you have to try to find proof that it's similar enough in some stuff so that they will believe that you will be able to do the job. And then this proof also reduces the risk for them of hiring you, of bringing you in the team, spending a lot of time and money training you and showing you what to do, and then you being a complete failure. So having this proof also is a risk reductor for them. That's why what it happens a lot is that it's very difficult to get the first jobs in Australia, because Australian employers really value that you have some actual Australian experience. And why is that? Because they want to call them, they want to contact them, other Aussies, and ask them, how are you as a person? How are you as a worker? And once you get those first few jobs, then everything becomes much easier, because you have this proof that you've worked in Australia before, you've worked in the Australian workforce, you know how everything works kind of thing, and they do believe you more. But when you first arrive to the country, because you do not have any of these Australian proof, you've never worked in the country, it becomes much more difficult. So you need to find ways to get this kind of proof. A way that you can do this is to, for example, do some kind of volunteering first, because there's not much risk for the person employing you, because it's a volunteering and they're not spending a lot of money. And then you can show them that you're a good worker, that you're a good person, and then you can ask them to be your reference for the next paid job. So that is a really good tactic to get some kind of proof at the beginning if you're struggling to get it. Then the third thing that we need to do is, as I said before, is to minimize the time delay between when they want a worker and when you are available to the job. So that's why being close to the area area that they are looking to hire, it will increase your chances much more. And that's why if staying in the big cities, in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and applying to jobs everywhere in Australia, it gets really difficult because for them, you're not as valuable as someone that is right there in their little town, ready to go in the next morning. That's why location and speed are really important in this type of jobs and experience. And then the last thing that we need to do is to minimize the effort for the employer. And what does it mean? It's like for the employer, if they receive a few applications and one has everything ready and the other one has still to do certifications, trainings, or they don't have all the paperwork ready on everything, they would need to put more effort to pursue this person. So the more effort that you make them do, the lower the chances are of them hiring you. They will prefer someone that is ready to go, that gives all the paperwork on time, it's ready, boom, easy. So you have to make things easier for them. And that means having all the skills ready, having all the experience as well. If you can be clear and fast in the way that you communicate in email and also when calling, that helps them much more in take decisions. So if you apply for a job and you already provide all the most important proof and documents that are required and you avoid this back and forth of replies and emails, you're increasing your chances of getting hired. Also, the last one is the ease of access. So if they try to contact you and you do not reply, or it requires them 2 or 3 or 4 times to contact you, you're increasing the effort that they need to do to contact you. So you need to reduce that. You need to be available to contact, easy to contact, and when they contact, you need to reply quickly. If you reduce the effort that they need to do to hire you, they will hire you much easier and quicker. So as a quick summary of these 4 things, it's maximize your value as a dream worker, then increase the likelihood of you being able to do a good job and reducing the risk. And you get that by having all the tickets and experience. Then minimizing the time delay between whenever they want to hire you and whenever you are available. So increasing and shrinking this time will also boost your job opportunities. And then also you have to try to minimize their effort in the process of hiring you. If you make it difficult to hire yourself, they will hire another one that it's easier to hire. Then here we have a little checklist that you can follow. And this is some advice from Australian employers on backpackers for when applying for jobs. For example, Don said that he advertised for a cook. He was looking for a cook, for a chef, and he got 188 people that applied, but only 2 matched for what he was looking for. So that goes along with likelihood of success and reducing risk. Only these 2 people have higher chances of being able to do the job that he's looking to fill up. That's why he's looking for experienced hospitality staff, and they must have the RSA and RSG, and very few people have it. In Australia, there's some certifications that it's not a nice to have. They are a must have, so you just have to do it. There's no way around. And if you're applying for jobs and you do not have these few things, doesn't really matter. They cannot hire you. And as Don is saying, very few people have it, and it is 100% required. So RSG and RSA are a must for hospitality. So if you do them, it's an easy way to stand out. It's an easy way to make you closer to that dream worker, to increase your chances of getting a job. Then another example is from Graham, which he's saying that people do not put much effort in looking for jobs. And as I was saying before, you need to try to reduce the effort that they have to do. And in exchange, you are the one that have to make more effort up front. You have to make more effort first. And that's what he's saying. You have to be proactive. You cannot be passive and be waiting for them to call you or reply to you. You have to call, you have to email, you have to try to find ways to stand out. And when you do stand out, you have to be ready. You have to make things easier for them, and you have to be quick. Then a good communication tip that Graham was saying is that instead of asking if they have a job or not, or when they say that they do not have anything available, if you ask who do they know that might be needing help, instead of asking if, which is a yes or no question, if you ask an open question, which is a who, you're forcing them to think and to give you an answer. You cannot reply a no when you ask for a who. So they have to give you some names or at least some directions, and they will point you to the right way to go. Then another thing here in Australia is to have a really can-do and positive attitude. Here, Australian employers value this a lot. Then another thing that Hannah was saying is that many would just say, I need 88 days and prefer accommodation. So this is something that I really recommend not to do. I would not say that you are looking for your 88 days job, because they do not even need to know that you're doing your 88 days. You just need to have an eligible job in an eligible industry in a good eligible postcode. That's it. If you have that, employers don't even need to know that you're completing your required extension work jobs. And what Hannah was saying here is that people are really entitled and they want the best conditions, the best things, and they also ask it up front. I would ask this after, once you have had some contact with employers. You can ask what's their arrangement for accommodation, or if they know a place that could help you with accommodation once you get a job, or how does accommodation work for that job. I would not put it in my job application. I am looking for a job. Give me accommodation and give me food. That's, again, putting all the effort on the employer. You have to try to reduce that. And that's something that you can worry along the way. And as she was saying here, she was also a little bit pissed because you also need to say what you can bring to the role and your strengths. So it's a little bit, again, with that entitlement that people think that they need to be given everything. So what she was saying here is that we need to shift from us to them. Instead of talking about me, I need this, I need that, I need a job, I need accommodation, I need money, you need to try to be like, how can I help you? How can I provide value to you? Do you guys need any help with this and that? So focus less on you and focus more on them, and that will help you when you are starting to have these communications with employers, and it will increase your job opportunities. And then some last tips from Brendan. It's that if you're posting on Facebook, for example, or in other platforms, and you're posting a long text with pictures, if you put party pictures or, as he says, Tinder pictures, that is really bringing you down as a worker, because someone is looking for a worker. They don't want to see, or they don't want to know if you look good on a Friday or Saturday night when you go out with your friends. They don't need to do that. But instead, you have to post pictures of you on working clothes, working, doing these kind of activities. And if the work that you're doing in the pictures is the same or is really closely related to the one that you're applying to, again, this serves as proof that you can do that because you've done that before. So you're reducing the risk for them to hire you. Then a lot of people put a lot of useless information, and as he's saying, they need to know where you are, when you're available, what experience you have, if you have a vehicle, if you can move, if you can relocate, and if you need accommodation or not. So really good tips from Brendan. If you're alone as well, what level of English? Here it says need of 88 days. This is something that I think differently. I don't think that you should say that, because at the end of the day, you're just looking for a job in certain industries. That's it. Think of you as a normal worker. Don't think of you as a person with a working holiday visa that needs to do the 88 days. That's not what you need to show. You just need to show that you're a person that is looking for a job in a certain industry. That's it. You don't need to say anything else. And then you just behind the curtains, then you make sure that the job is eligible and the postcode is eligible as well. And then what he's saying is that farmers and employers are not usually in these platforms. So if a farmer is in Facebook looking for workers, as he's saying, if a farmer is here, it means in Facebook, they need someone for today or for tomorrow. They are not going to be waiting for weeks. So that's why you need to be extremely quick to act. You need to contact them straight away, contact them in ways that you reduce the effort for them, the friction, and then you show proof that you can do that before. If you do that, you're really increasing your chances of getting that job. And you have to make things easier for them. And in exchange, it might be more difficult for you, but that's okay. And then again, he's saying that you should get certifications and have everything ready. Boots, sunscreen, good water bottle, everything. So now you understand the 4 factors that are crucial if you want to get a job in Australia. And that is by becoming the dream worker, increasing the likelihood that you will do a good job, reducing the risk for them by showing some proof, and making the job of hiring you as easy as possible. But being the dream worker isn't enough if you do not have these right certifications that you need to work in Australia. So watch this video next, where I show you the top tickets that every backpacker needs in Australia to find work fast, earn more money, and finish your 88 days as quickly and easily as possible.